Imagine standing shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of Floridians, business owners, and advocates inside the state capitol, ready to make real change. That's what Cannabis at the Capitol is all about. The signature Lobby Day and Education Expo from the Florida Cannabis Action Network, where voices intersect with policy and passion turns into progress. For just $50 for individuals, you'll gain access to expert briefings, self-guided meetings with lawmakers, and the power to influence Florida's cannabis future. For businesses, $300 unlocks premium access. Connect with decision makers, showcase your enterprise, and build alliances in a fast-growing sector. Whether you're a medical patient seeking stronger access, an entrepreneur navigating regulations, or a company ready to stand at the forefront of industry change, this is your platform. One day in Tallahassee could shift a lifetime of regulation. Join us. Be present. Be heard. Be the change at Cannabis at the Capitol.
Can you tell I don't know what game face means?
100%, and so can all of our friends. So welcome back to Elevated Intel. It's 4:20 on Friday, and Cynthia and I are already having a good time.
Too good of
but
a
we're
time.
glad to have you here.
Yes.
We were having a really good time, but it's always a better time with friends. So,
and for all of you that were concerned that sent letters and notes of get well, I am better. And by all of you, I mean both of you. Both of you. I feel much better.
You definitely sound better. For those of you who were not hanging out with us on Wednesday night, you were pretty sick.
I was pretty whiny. I was a little bit of a brat, a little bit of a bad apple. Yeah, I just don't like being sick. I'm a little nasally still, which I know you can hear, but you're being a good sport about it. And I feel like all of the week's activities, what a great week to get sick, because it was a rough week for the hemp industry and cannabis alike. Don't you believe?
It was. Well, it was, but we had a great week. I mean, we were in Tallahassee and doing our things, and it was fabulous. And I'm hopeful that we'll have some guests to talk about that. I know we had some back issues. So Steve, thank you to our producer, Steve Thal from Jacksonville. Steve, if one of our guests pop in, would you let Cynthia and I know, and we'll just go ahead and keep going. We had a great week in Tallahassee. I don't want to go into all of it until we get a little further along. But during these committee weeks, I am so focused on, kind of in the present, that I wouldn't have known anything about what was happening in the hemp space if it hadn't been for watching our show. So I was thrilled to be part of our show on Friday, because you did a fabulous job of breaking down. And then again on Wednesday, we had some extra special guests, and
yes,
I thought that was newsworthy. They were fabulous.
To give perspective, Jody, which I'm not a numbers gal, hate all numbers, let's be honest, don't like math, but with the news coming out that we broke on Friday, we didn't break it, but I'm saying we shared the hemp ban information on Friday, and then quick succession, even though under the weather, it was necessary to do that Wednesday show because we got to hear from industry stakeholders right here in the great state of Florida and how they would be affected. And those two shows have surpassed viewers for any other show that we've done since we started Elevated Intel. And I know that to other people that may not mean anything, but to us, that's a huge amount of engagement, which means we're doing something right and we're sharing the important stuff, good, bad, or ugly. And people need to hear this, because what if they're just like you, Jody, and they don't have time to pay attention to all the stuff that consumes us, right?
And you really did do a great job of breaking it down. And, I liked it because for those of you who haven't seen last week's episode, it is available. Our producer makes sure that Steve makes sure that it is on Facebook, of course, for 30 days, but you can always get it on YouTube and now on Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
We're available on Spotify, Cynthia.
Look at us.
Go, girl. Go, girl.
I'm going to have to stop saying the F word so much.
Look, Maybe so, maybe so. And be nicer to President Trump. And Tallahassee is a fine place to live.
I never
But
said it wasn't. I was just saying the
you
Airbnb was
called
a
it
monochrome.
Tallahassee. You called
Oh,
it
okay. I
Tallahassee.
apologize to any residents of the Tallahassee area and anybody who may have adversely been affected by my comments, which were immature and incredibly insensitive. I do hope you
Except
do not hold it against FLCAN, our affiliates, our stakeholders, board of directors. Only hold it against me because I have a mouth, the biggest mouth in the South.
that
Can't
that
stop.
4 blocks in Tallahassee can get pretty nasty. The rest of the town is lovely.
No, Tallahassee's great. I like going there because it feels like it's not so Florida. There's not like palm trees and stuff. There's like actual foliage. And they talk when people talk about the changing of the leaves, they actually mean it, as opposed to here where it's like 82 degrees. I have no idea what you're talking about. Seasons, what? But
Trees
Tallahassee
don't
is the
change colors.
it's the place to go when you want to get things done. It's the
Right.
place to go to complain about stuff that's not getting done, to encourage people that you put into office to do their jobs. It is a necessary evil sometimes, and sometimes it does rub me the wrong way. But at the end of the day, I freaking love it. I love
Right
getting
on.
on the sensible heels and the dress and clicking my way and annoying the hell out of every receptionist in Tallahassee on the floors. And coming up soon with CAC, Cannabis at the Capitol, I feel like I should get a new pair of heels just to mark the occasion.
I have worn out 4 pairs of shoes in Tallahassee over the last 10 years.
Okay,
I
10
just
years,
went
come
out
on.
10 years. I wear them out though. I mean, not like change up your fashion. I'm like wear holes in them. Cause my family's not, I mean, we sacrifice to, yes, I go places and do cool stuff, but there's other things that we don't do because we do this. And
Right.
so I don't have a different pair of shoes for every day of the week. I have a pair of shoes for Tallahassee. I live in Florida, barefoot. Hello.
I have
Flip
Converse All
flops.
Stars, and then I have high heels, and I think I have a pair of flip flops somewhere, and that's it.
Okay. That's all you wear, 3 pairs.
Yeah, like the Louis Vuitton red bottoms, because
Gotcha.
hashtag
Sassy.
don't have kids, hashtag goals. And then but then I take them off before I get to the pavement and put on the Converse All Stars because I'm not scuffing up the red bottoms.
Good call.
Huh,
Good call.
only wear them on
They're red
carpet.
for a reason. Isn't that something? So you like the 4th floor of the Capitol.
I
So,
do, and I also like the governor's office because he's got like rugs and carpets down, and so you can look professional, and then you just take your shoes off.
I know that people are tuning in, and I want to make sure that we get some actual news this week.
Yes.
Where are we at? So we had a great presentation on Friday, last Friday, where you talked a little bit about the bill that has been now 10 days ago.
Right.
Do you have that recap in front of you for folks who have not been paying attention to all the ins and outs?
It's not in front of me, it's in me. It's coursing through my
Oh,
veins. I'm happy to update everybody about the language that was in the
suck it
government.
to me, suck it to me.
I got you, girl. The language that was presented to President Trump last Wednesday, which was in the government funding bill that would end the longest government shutdown in US history, had a very strategically placed hemp ban, which instead of harsh regulation goes into absolute prohibition, making the thresholds for allowable products almost just unattainable, making the livelihood of a lot of people here in Florida and across the country just be decimated. And it's what we told everyone last week is don't jump. Everything's going to be okay. What I want to tell people now is prepare to jump a little because I want to be the voice of reason, the voice of positivity, but I I look at a week of activities since this all came out, and I wanted to see people using level heads out in Washington, people having open dialogue, people committing to working and coming together. Like Jody says, we need to come together as industries. We are of the same plant, from the same plant, like we are just the
We
same
are.
same people, uh different places, but that's not what's happening. uh people are, we have different states like Ohio, Illinois, and unfortunately Florida that are taking the language that was signed in officially by President Trump to ban intoxicating hemp derived product or hemp derived products as a whole, including beverages, CBD tinctures that are broad or multi-spectrum, which have amazing benefit, as we know. And they're saying, well, if the federal government is saying to go this strict, we're just going to go this strict. So Ohio, where they were framing out regulation, they're saying, nope, we're going to go full prohibition. Illinois, samesies, and Florida, James Uthmeier, okay, who, funny, he was not one of the 39 state attorneys general that drafted the letter to put this ban in, because there was a document, a letter collectively written by 39 attorneys, state attorneys general. And I hate saying that, but that's the way you have to say it. And I'm sorry. He was not one of those 39, but James Uthmeier, our AG here in Florida, has said that this hemp ban is actually positive. He wants it to happen, but he's unfortunately grouping this hemp ban with the 7-OH Kratom nonsense. So if you're not super familiar, neither am I, but a lot of lawmakers are trying to get this 7-OH, and I want to make sure because which is a derivative of Kratom, claiming that they've removed products off the shelf that were 13 times more potent than morphine. This product, this 7-OH derivative or whatever, is causing a lot of people a lot of harm, and they want it removed. So when James Uthmeier is talking about this hemp ban and him favoring this hemp ban, he's grouping it in with the prohibition of 7-OH Kratom. So it's not apples and apples going into one apple ban. It's like pipe bomb and like some over-the-counter medicine, and they're saying they're both equally as dangerous. In his statement, I think he should have had more commas that would have separated the issues, but pretty much his whole statement was, yes, I support the hemp ban, and I also support banning 7-OH Kratom. So it's not the same. It's not causing the same issues for the public, but that's how James Uthmeier decided to frame it.
So, this is an interesting space, and I've been really blessed to be doing this with you over the last few months. Seriously blessed to have been doing this with you over the last few months, particularly because we've kind of seen this coming.
Oh yeah.
I'm in all of it. The Attorney General of Florida is, of course, one of the guys that engineered the money for Hope Florida that ultimately ended up being used to spend $10 million to misappropriated. This is the guy that misappropriated state money to defeat a medical marijuana legalization initiative.
Wow, I almost forgot to remember that. But yeah, he was the chief of staff for Governor DeSantis.
And the guy who engineered that whole thing.
He's a company man.
He's the guy who benefited when the Attorney General was appointed to the Senate, right? Our senator is appointed because Rubio got a position. So, to talk about the impact of Florida, and Florida being literally the Southern White House, it's not a joke. The people in Ashley's office, the people in Pam Bondi's office, to believe that cannabis policy could go any way but this way,
right?
Knowing who Trump has surrounded himself with is just astounding.
Let me ask you one question, though, because you brought it up as far as him being a company man. Let's go back. Let's reminisce on 2 years ago, legislative session, actually 1 year ago, 2024 legislative session. Was there not a bill put in front of Governor DeSantis on his desk that banned intoxicating hemp-derived products, including Delta-8, that he, in fact, vetoed?
Yes.
But now he's 100%. Allowing the AG.
So, when we talk about Tallahassee being nasty, political alignments change. It's not the town, it's the tactics in that 4 square blocks or whatever. That's really, and that's not all of Tallahassee. But seriously, he vetoed that bill. It wasn't a perfect bill, and it would have done a lot of damage to some really legitimate people. And I will tell you, 2 hours ago, I was ready to jump off the ledge with him. I didn't know how I was going to come onto this program and have anything positive to say about this. And I hope those of you who are watching will share, because we really do need to kind of have this discussion. I still believe that we don't need to jump off a ledge.
No jumping
was
necessary.
in, I was encouraged by Carlos Hermida, who came with us on Wednesday night to talk about himself as a retailer. Now, he is unique in the cannabis space, which is one
Yeah.
of the reasons why we want to align ourselves as Florida Cannabis Action Network with the Chillum brand. We've invited him to be at the Capitol with us, and he is the sponsor of the Cannabis at the Capitol event. So, uh, and we're happy to send people to listen to him on Sundays when he does the rotation. I shouldn't forget all of his accolades. But when he said, this is 45% of my business,
Yeah.
but I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm going to find other inventory to put on my shelves. I'll offer additional services. If he wants to keep his doors open, he's going to do just that.
He's got a dynamic business model. So he is
Huge.
one
So
of
that's huge.
many retailers that may not be as adversely affected, but he will still be affected.
Got to find new products. If nothing else, he has to find new products. Colette's business model with full spectrum cannabinoids, that we're gonna ask our listeners and their friends and the people who they share this with. We're gonna have a campaign going on. We're working on some language. Hector Roos, who is our director of strategic planning, and I spent about 10 seconds today. And one of the conversations was, we've really got to lead on this. That's who we are. We're leaders. And the power and the benefit of full spectrum cannabis products is no joke.
Right.
The healing power of good whole plant products cannot be overlooked. I'm still having the same I still feel the same way today about this plant that I did 30 years ago. I have a deep love affair for it. My husband's watching, so I should be okay. He knows this about me, but I do. I have a deep love for this. And so I was listening to some folks from the HOA or from the Hemp Industrial Association, and they're like,
I was
this
like, oh
is
no, they got to the homeowners association already. Jesus, they move fast.
But this is excellent for the Hemp Industrial Association because it redefines hemp, and it will give hemp for building blocks and hemp for rope and hemp for fabric and hemp for plastics. It may give some stability to that industry. It's funny, I was watching VP, maybe Veep, uh, on a plane, right? It's 30-minute show from, I don't know what, she used to be on The Nanny or some nonsense.
No, she was on Seinfeld, isn't it? Like
Seinfeld, yes.
Yeah.
Ellen on Seinfeld. So it's Ellen on Seinfeld.
No.
She's fabulous.
But
She's hilarious.
you're close. Yeah, you're close.
So she, in the first couple episodes, which is what you get to see on a long plane flight, we
Elaine.
see
Elaine.
Elaine.
Seinfeld, sorry.
Elaine.
Elaine.
Thank you for being
sorry, took me a second.
Correcting my faux pas. We do want to be right with these things, even our Seinfeld references. So she is advocating for soy spoons to be in the legislators in the Capitol buildings, and that's her passion, is these reusable, recyclable, soy-based or whatever. And she gets so much grief because soy is plastic, these utensils plastic, and plastic is oil. So when you start farting around with the silverware at the Capitol, you are really messing with big oil. And when you start
you're
talking
bears
about 100%,
yeah,
hemp was not intended to be part of the pharmacopoeia. Just ask Jack Herer. We understood that good medicine came from THC-rich cannabinoid-based plants, and that the stuff we were going to call hemp was going to be grown in a field, and it was going to be really tall. It was going to produce a lot of seeds and a lot of fiber, and we were going to use those for industrial purposes. And so there's a lot of people who think that this new legislation is going to, redefine what the hemp industry was supposed to do. And if we can combine this with a sensible marijuana program, it's all one plant.
Yeah, but this is the one
We
time I
regulate
want
hemp.
cannabis and marijuana to be separate. Because the way that they're treating hemp, the way that they're criminalizing people for utilizing a loophole that they created, and they're making people, I mean, they didn't make them take advantage of the loophole. They didn't provide the tools to go and exploit anything. It was there, people did it, that's fine, they made money, but you are perfectly fine taking food out of people's mouths and money out of their pockets, people that reinvested in the community, that created jobs, that paid their taxes. And although the methods and the means do not always match up, I don't want to really, we have to come together, but I don't want them to come after us next, because if they can get this much done in a week, dear Lord.
So Smart and Safe's new, and I know that's kind of on the agenda today,
Yeah.
Smart and Safe's new bill or new proposed constitutional amendment talks about a horizontal cannabis market. And what we have right now is a horizontal cannabis market that is only growing plants that they are defining as hemp.
Wait, I'm sorry.
It's still a cannabis market. I mean,
Hemp?
the hemp market is still cannabis because hemp is cannabis.
Hemp and cannabis are cannabis, yes.
And to say that the flower that I'm selling in the gas station that's THCA came from a hemp plant.
Oh, yeah, it's weed.
Was always kind of, tongue in cheek and confusing to the consumer.
But let's not let everybody off the hook. There were MSOs, multi-state operators, that sell very successfully cannabis products to different markets, both medical and adult use, that did capitalize on this loophole as well, creating THCA products that they sold via e-commerce and made money hand over fist, because why not? Why not make money while there's a short amount of time? But we all knew it was expiration dated. Somebody was going to button up things. What bothers me is that after they did this, we all had the hopes that this is where we step in, we speak up, we come together, we get lawmakers to change it in 365 days, and everyone's right is rain. Maybe states' rights, we can implement something more restrictive, more regulatory focused, get everyone some licenses, some requirements, blah, blah, blah. But it looks like everybody's like, well, if mom and dad said we can't have it, then let's just not have it. It's fine. That takes care of it. We're just going to go blanket statement, federal trumps us. But they didn't say that with cannabis. They said federal illegal cannabis. Well, we want it and we have the right to have it. Cole memorandum. We have all these permission slips now. And so they implemented the program, maybe late to the game, medical only. But James Uthmeier is saying, oh, the hemp ban, that's fine. It's cool. We're just going to go with that. Instead of actual,
Well,
we had language.
That's
We had
our
language in place.
job. And we do. And I think that's why we need to really come. We will say again that we would love people to join us at the Capitol. Let's bring on one of our guests. Joining us today, talking about the Capitol, is actually one of our affected persons. Oh, look, now she's an affected persons.
Oh, no.
Colette Florido, are you ready to join us and talk about your Cannabis at the Capitol experience? Colette was part of the team that was in Tallahassee for week 4. Colette was also one of our special guests. I, talked to you as opposed to about you. You look like your youngest daughter sitting there. I mean, doesn't she? She's 12.
Just like
Goodness
I'll take it.
gracious.
That's right. I hope to keep moving backwards in time. Thank you. That's what
Nice,
cannabis does
nice.
for me.
Yes, there you
So,
go. You could be a PSA. I love
Yeah,
it.
right.
so you were in Tallahassee this past week. You want to
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about your experience? Who was there with you? What was the adventure like this month?
Oh my
This week?
gosh, no shortage on adventures. I had our group from the central west side of Florida. So joining us from Care Florida, we had Carla Ashburn and Juwan Young and Laura Pate from her office. And I believe that was Juwan's first time ever up at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Laura joined us last year for the first time for our Cannabis at the Capitol. So that was her second time around. Um, and then, of course, Carla, who's been up there many times, Jennifer Macris from Cannabis Cash Consultants. She came up with me as well. And then we had our grateful veterans with us. So we had Jeff DeMond and Andy, Don, and then we had,
Gus?
what's that?
Was Gus there? The dog?
Oh, and obviously the star of the show, Gus. Gus was always the lead, whenever we would walk someplace. He wasn't feeling his best on one of the days, so we missed Gus for the afternoon he tried,
Oh
um,
no.
but we were glad that he made it back the next day. And then, of course, we had Tammy Long with our Battle Buds as well. So two different veteran groups that day,
Tammy
or
Thomasak?
this week. No, Tammy Rose Long
Oh,
from
Tammy Long.
Bat.
I'm sorry. Wasn't there a Tammy Thomasak that was out there with you guys?
Not this time around.
Oh,
No.
gotcha.
So yeah, no, Tammy with Battle Buds. And then we also had Benny Blanchard up with us.
That's right.
And it was really exciting because, we had different things happening with our group. I hope I didn't miss anybody. It was a pretty good, it was a pretty good sized group. So what's interesting is we had some folks that were there for the first time. There were folks that had been there for a while, but they were advancing. So it's fun to see people graduating up in this process of advocacy. Folks that have maybe been to the Capitol before, and so the starting point is to come in and get the lay of the land. Like, where do you park? Where am I
That's a
supposed to
great
go?
question.
Right? Where am I supposed to go in the doors? And especially for some of our folks who have a handicap placard, there aren't that many choices available. How
Nope.
do you come in? And in fact, we had to experience that. One of the things that we ran into was that one of the meetings, actually, a few of the meetings that were being held on the Senate side, unfortunately, their ADA coordinator was not around and they didn't
Serious.
have closed captioning available, and Benny needed that to be able to follow along on the meeting. So
Kind of important. Yep.
unfortunately,
For him.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean, so that was a big challenge and something that we probably wouldn't have noticed, but it's a really important piece for
Yeah.
some of our members to be able to have access to that. So Betty was working hard behind the scenes to make sure that that got corrected, which was just a side note because he was also making appointments and having conversations about some of the policies that he's looking at addressing. And so he had his conversations and some forward momentum. Our veterans were working with folks and having conversations. And so it really was, a great experience for people who had been there before, but now we're starting to, okay, now I've got to really make a difference here. Who am I going to reach out to? How am I going to get a hold of them? And then just sitting through some of the committee meetings because that's a little different than in session. Normally, when we do our cannabis at the Capitol, it's a pretty busy day trying to meet your legislators, and then if there's bills that you're trying to either promote or to say, please don't vote for this, that's a lot to get in a day in the agenda. So by taking it a little bit slower this time, not during session, it allowed people to sit through these committee meetings and just see the decorum,
Yeah.
reminding us of how the meeting process works and how you address the chair and how you wait to respond and how you can speak in one of those committee meetings if you should choose to. So those were all some of the things that we got to take away from it. It was really a great time.
It was a big group, but they're like a lightly seasoned group. Like they weren't all first timers. They were like, repeat, Grateful veterans, obviously Colette, Carla, veterans at the Capitol for sure, as far as like going and participating and being able, I bet you guys were great ambassador chairs, leading those that are not as well versed. Now, overall, do you think that some of the newbies that are showing up, are they gaining more confidence towards the end of the ambassador week as you guys give them the tips, the tricks, and the secrets of how to
I
maintain Tallahassee decorum?
I think so. I think one of the first graduating things is if you can figure out the elevators and making your way to the Senate building or to
Yes.
get over to the Not building, to be able to navigate from, the coffee shop on the 10th floor to the lower level cafe.
There's a coffee shop on the 10th floor.
Yeah, there's a coffee shop up on the 10th floor. See, you
Okay.
just don't know. You could have
I
your
Excellent
haven't
coffee and
coffee
watch the
on the
Florida
10th floor.
Channel and get a lot done.
I
So
did the elevators are somebody's sick joke. I don't
Oh,
like they only go up this far, then you have to get off and get into a different one. It's not like a giant skyscraper. It's not like it needs to separate out for your safety. It is
it's
purely based on like complete,
I
I'm gonna say nice things. I'm gonna say somebody who is
I will
severely
say
disturbed made that elevator.
no,
I was
no, the
gonna say
elevator's
what
great.
it is. No, what it is it's kind of like the government forms in floor plan. So
Yeah,
the idea that if you're gonna go through this government program, you first need to fill out all of these forms. So it'll be, get on this level, then take this elevator up to here, then fill this out and go over to this elevator.
I think they
It's
want
not
you
an
to
easy
just
way to get there.
get
Yeah, give up
momentum
before you get there.
and then stop abruptly and be like a series of WTFs per hour. They're like,
Oh,
how
right.
can we really make this a unique experience for our constituents? And that's trading elevators midway through your ride. Yeah,
And that's what we
it
call the
is a
Capitol experience.
the
Isn't
capital
that what's
experience.
happening in Washington, D.C. right now with hemp? We're going to let you ride this elevator, we're going to get momentum, and then we're going to
Yeah,
stop and make you get off and go to a different floor. So
pretty much.
I have to say, so for those who have not been part of the Capitol elevators after the 2020 COVID, they created elevators in the Capitol building where you kind of have to use a keypad and tell the elevator what floor you're going to get on, and then the keypad tells you
I
what
didn't even know
elevator.
about the keypad.
Oh yeah. But so once you get in the elevator in the main Capitol, there's no buttons to touch. And I have found myself a couple times in the last month and a half of doing these committee weeks. I go into the Senate and I get in the elevator and I just stand there for a minute. Oh, they haven't done this on the Senate side. So if you don't push the button, you don't go anywhere.
Okay, I'm
No,
so glad you guys told me this because I'll be the girl in the elevator is like, do you have the
yeah,
code? Does anyone?
but
I didn't know they put a
we
keypad.
push
I was
it.
talking based purely off of this elevator goes from
Yeah,
this floor to this one, and then
still
we just
true.
stop doing business after that. And then you have to go find the next
Still
elevator
true.
to take you higher. And it's like I didn't know now they added keypads and passwords. That's gonna
Yeah.
throw me off. That's how
But
long it's been.
the recurring theme, and we do some takeaways nightly after everybody's had a chance to decompress a little bit. And the takeaway is it's astounding how accessible they feel like state government is after a day with us. And that brings us to January 14th and 15th. As Florida Cannabis Action Network, we're going to do some letter writing campaigns. I'm with you, Cynthia. I think that the state of Florida should protect the good actors like CR World and Treadwells and the Chillums that have been complying under the Department of Health. We should continue to protect the businesses that are already doing a good job serving Floridians.
Right.
I think that's something that we should achieve. For people who are like, well, why isn't why isn't the hemp movement protected like medical marijuana? You alluded to that earlier. Medical marijuana wasn't protected at first either. In 1996, when Prop 215 passed in California, which was the first piece of legislation of its kind, over the first few months, we celebrated. As a matter of fact, Floridians raised money to send to California. That's one of the first things I did was bar fundraisers with bands to raise money to support legalization, medical marijuana legalization in California. But almost immediately, and frankly, Cannabis Action Network in California, after the passage of 215, Cannabis Action Network reorganized and started doing principles of adult use because we understood as Cannabis Action Network in California that we would be needing to shine a light on what responsible adult use was going to look like. Because if we didn't draw the lines of what this was going to look like, then someone else would. And we knew that we were being proactive as Cannabis Action Network when the raids started happening, and these were federal raids in 1997 and 1998 on what was considered a state legal program and actors who were coloring inside the lines.
Yep.
That's when Americans for Safe Access was founded by by Cannabis Action Network in California for the purposes of strictly protecting patients. That's how we got something like the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, which prohibited the use of federal funds. So that's all we really had was protecting the use of federal funds. States were afraid to come on board.
Yep.
California moved forward. We had a couple more states, but really you didn't see a lot of action from 2002 to nearly 2014.
Well, let's think about it. When you have to have in your budget money to get your own employees out of jail, you know, and you also can only, it's not like nowadays where you have other methods of payment. It was all cash all the time, very little banking. And just to put the three of us into even more perspective, somebody who was born in 1996 will be 30 next year. So feels like it was just yesterday, right? But
I was already raising money in this movement. How have I dated myself?
It feels weird that we have only come this far in 30 years.
Well, we had 100 years of prohibition to untie. And that's
true.
Part of what I think you see in Tallahassee is you start to see how cannabis prohibition is tied into all of these various factors. And that's one of the reasons that we are trying to get so many ambassadors. In any given week, there may be cannabis prohibition in 3 or 4 places on the agenda during any one week. And so we have to have a team of strong, well-trained folks that understand the political process. We've got one more week coming up, starting, Tuesday, December 2nd at probably 8 a.m. It's not too late, so long as you are registered by next Tuesday. We might still be able to get you a t-shirt. It's a week.
Maybe. Okay, maybe. If you register, I'll do it. If you don't register, I'm not doing it.
Get it. The t-shirts have been fabulous. Shout out to Blacktop and Brewer. The t-shirts make an amazing difference. For those of you who haven't been watching, they are great. They don't say cannabis anywhere on the front. So
if you want a shirt and you want to look cool, we'll sell you a shirt and you don't even have to go.
That's a good idea.
We want you to go. But like, if you just want the shirt, I'll make you a custom shirt. It's totally fine.
Can
I tell about the pin?
The what?
The lapel pin. We wear our lapel pins.
Can I tell them the story?
Please
tell the story.
The story of the pins are fabulous.
It was just coincidental that Jen and Carla and I were standing outside the Capitol getting ready, and Jen was going to help Carla get her pin on, the Florida Cannabis Action Network pin that Jody's wearing. And so we went live, and I had made the comment because just before that I wore it to a tourism organization dinner, and I walked in and somebody saw it on my lapel and was like, I have to talk to you later. So it just immediately is one of those things that I know it to be a great conversation starter in professional spaces, especially. And it's a little wink, wink, nod, nod, here's the special handshake. But what's really nice is that we had made the comment. this is a great conversation starter. When you get this lapel pin as with your membership with FLCAN, it's a great way to have those conversations. No sooner do we get inside and get off of the elevator, but the commissioner, one of the commissioners from the city of Miami Springs, is like, I want one of those pins. And it was like that fast is how it happened. And so we were able to get him a pin and happy to send him some information. And it's nice to find folks. It's kind of like that secret handshake or that wink wink, and that makes you know who in the room is willing to have a conversation with you. So just thought it was a really fun little side note that, it was almost like okay, now cue the person who's going to ask for the pin. Cue the person.
Nice.
We have some
And
questions in the chat from Steve that he posted from some people that were listening. Do you want me to go through them?
comments, I think. Comments.
Okay.
So Hector said, how did alcohol prohibition end? And I think that is
That's a good
either a
point.
long, well, I think it's either I think it's a long answer or a trick
No,
question.
they found a way to make money off of it. There was organized crime that was making a lot of money off of the prohibition of
Right.
alcohol. We know that. That's just a fact. And so the ability to capitalize on something that was once legal and then made illegal, obviously it's just good business. And all of these states are in the business of making money, right? So they're business states. But essentially it was
It was the 21st
organized
Amendment.
crime. It was, well, yeah, it was, they had to change the law. They had to amend the language
Constitution of
that
the United
made it.
States.
But the reason behind it, money, 100%.
Public safety.
Ending prohibition is a public safety thing.
100% ending prohibition is a public safety
Prohibition
thing.
of alcohol. If no one's
100%.
allowed to drink, it's
and
forced, safe if they do.
organized crime. It was absolutely public safety. No one was allowed to drink, and so the products that were being created weren't regulated.
And
they
they
were
went to the
being
black
handled-
market.
They were being handled entirely by a criminal market that did not have the courts. It did not have contracts. They had guns and street corners.
So was
you
the
had
hemp space prohibition for alcohol?
ask that question again.
The hemp space before Wednesday of last week. Would you compare that to the tone during prohibition of alcohol?
No, probably closer to the tone of after the prohibition of alcohol. Because, when the 21st Amendment was ratified, and I think it's interesting that God love Hector for bringing these things up. One of the things that I studied early on in my advocacy career was the prohibition of alcohol and the women's suffrage movement, because I thought there would be, and the civil rights movement. There were lessons to be learned in all of those things. And I had a mentor trainer by the name of Greg Scott, who came from the ACT UP, which was the AIDS movement.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some really excellent mentoring. But with alcohol prohibition, after the passage of the 21st Amendment, we had some states that ratified almost immediately and were ready to roll out rules and regulations.
Right.
Seattle, I think it was, that they passed theirs the same day, their alcohol regulations the same day or the day after. I don't remember which.
Utah was the last one.
And well, Florida still had dry counties 20 years ago when I first started going to Tallahassee. It's been in the last
There's still
20
dry
years.
counties in Tennessee and
There may
and
very well
Georgia.
be. We were passing through Kentucky in 85. I was taking my senior trip. We were passing through Kentucky and we landed in a BYOB dry county.
Yeah.
So we probably weren't old enough to drink, but we certainly were old enough to look like we
Hector
should.
says moonshine was blinding people, which actually is true. But I don't think that was the main driving force behind ending alcohol prohibition. And I think we've said it before on the show that what is so funny about the prohibition of alcohol is while alcohol was prohibited, cannabis was not.
Is that
So
interesting?
well, it's definitely
Fun
interesting.
fact.
The fun fact,
Fun
everyone.
fact.
How about that?
Fun
I
fact.
do. Uh, we want to thank Colette for coming on. I know she hopped off. She was a trooper this week. Thank you, Colette, for joining us
Yeah,
earlier
no
this
worries.
week on Wednesday and talking about how the hemp ban will adversely affect your your family-run business in the hemp space after you've done everything by the book, followed the rules, got the licenses, paid the fees, put in the work. We are going to advocate to make sure that people like Colette and like Carlos and like Jamie Treadwell do not have to suffer for the activities like James Uthmeier because he's being lazy. There's
But we're all
You know,
really good
and
we're all gonna have to do the work. Everybody's
everyone.
going to have to share with their friends, get their friends. If you
I'll
have
mention this.
benefited, we're gonna have
Mhm.
to get together, come together.
I'll just mention this. We stopped at the dispensary on the way home yesterday, and so we asked the question, if you came in here and you just wanted to buy a glass piece, for instance, I don't want the medical marijuana, I just want a glass piece. You have to have your medical marijuana card.
Yeah.
So even if we had the products, it's just, I'm trying to imagine all of these seniors and all of these people who buy products that really are not looking to, they're not looking to get high. They're not looking to get their medical marijuana card because they don't need it. You're looking for this, that's such a clinical strength in comparison to what a hemp product is, and how now you're putting all these extra burdens on a citizen to have to get the card and pay for the card and see the doctor and go through that process just to get their hands on a whole plant product that isn't even treated, they just don't love on the product the way that we loved on the product. And that's the hard part is, we just want to have the thing for the something for everyone mentality. I'm of the thought that if you can stop messing with my food and just give me the whole food, if you can stop messing with the plant and just give me the plant, I don't need it changed. And so to make this so inaccessible and illegal is just so far from where we were, and it just breaks my heart and it frustrates the crap out of me all at the same time that all of this work, all of this effort that we've put into this, the education in the community and the support we've given to the seniors and the help that we've given to caregivers, and it's all going to what?
No,
So I love
no,
that you guys are
we're
going to
gonna
step up.
we are gonna
That's
fix
what
this
we
because
need.
it breaks my
Yeah.
heart to hear Colette talk like this. Like I
Yeah.
feel for her, not just because I know her, but because she's pouring her heart out. She's telling you, like
Yeah.
she's at the end of her rope. But at the same time, some of these older people that utilize this product, I'm not judging them. I'm not profiling them. But do you think maybe that they kind of felt endorsed to try something alternative because the endorsement of CBD products from Dr. Oz, some of these big shows, that the stories they watch in the afternoon, it gave them a little more confidence and safety when all these people are saying it's perfectly fine and healthy. And now all of a sudden the government's saying, oh, no, 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 gone. Then they're going to have even
Right.
more problems trying to approach the plant in a very open-minded way. When we got them this far, it's like going back in
We
time.
we just got them here. It's
I know.
safe. It's just a plan. Not going to get high. And then all of a sudden it's like, oops, but if you do this to the plant, now it's
Psych.
going to get you high. Now it's
Yeah.
going to
Man,
get you
it
high.
was
So we really had to get out and educate.
Yeah.
6 weeks ago. President Trump told us we have an endocannabinoid system and CBD is good.
I don't recall
And
that.
in order to give children milk and to pay TSA workers and keep the lights on at the park, he had to sign a bill sacrificing a multi-billion-dollar industry that is employing more than 300,000 Americans.
Who puts the
So
drug policy in a spending bill? Only
right, and
people that
we're
want, come on.
prohibition. Prohibitionists. Everybody gets a chance to play in the grass, and what we mean by that is register to vote and be ready to be part of the political process. It is not a day in November. It is a process that happens all year round. We're going to help those of you who can't make our committee weeks. We are going to help you on January 14th and 15th of 2026 to figure out how to be heard right here in Tallahassee. Whatever you learn from us, you can take that, apply to whatever you are passionate about. That is part of the reason that people get involved with us. We have things that are going to be happening that are going to be pro cannabis consumer in Tallahassee. First and foremost, we have gotten confirmation today that our veteran reduced fees for veterans cards is in the hopper. So we don't have bill numbers yet. That may still be another week or two, but
It's filed.
They are filed. We have passed the first hurdle. Don't have numbers yet. We're
Hey,
firming
numbers
up
will
our
come.
sponsors. Numbers will, so long as, so if we need to make sure that we have a sponsor in the House and a sponsor in the Senate, but getting it into bill drafting is the first hurdle.
Oh yeah.
We are looking to protect our tourists, so we have an amnesty for tourism bill. If you are a medical patient and you are working under the color of law in your state and you bring products with you that have your name on it, that have it's your medicine and you can identify it as your medicine, Florida's going to respect that. There are 4 states right now that if you take your medicine there, and TSA is hardly watching, and sometimes we drive and it's in your suitcase. But if you have an encounter with law enforcement and you have lawful medicine from another state, you will not be facing criminal charges in the state of Florida. We're going to respect your medicine.
I thought it was reciprocity, like they could buy medicine here. I didn't know they could bring. That's different. That's big.
That is, and buying is still not popular with the lawmakers yet. They haven't figured out what that's
They
going to
just
look
want
like.
them to have their own and not ask about any of ours, right?
I want them to not go to the concierge or the black market or the hemp market. And I don't want them to go to jail if they bring it.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Florida. There was like that saying back in the day when we were in high school, like come on vacation, leave on probation. But actually, this is like stay in Florida for the length of your term sentence. So, like, that's
particularly
it's not
if
as cute of a t-shirt.
It's a gummy, because you think it's safe to travel with my gummy or my topical or my spray or whatever, because it's non-intrusive and it doesn't smell like marijuana. But guess what? Leafy matter is a misdemeanor. Up to 20 grams is still a misdemeanor. One gummy is a felony. So
yeah, we haven't decriminalized crap.
No,
yeah.
We're not playing. So
well, we are. I do want to talk about the one people that also are not playing, the smart and safe people that obviously the smart and safe campaign. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Absolutely.
And Colette, you can stay with us if you want to join in on the conversation, because your input is invaluable to us, and I think also to the listeners who can see the perspective that maybe isn't just Jody and I. So it's kind of nice. The smart and safe Florida people have had a couple of wins, and I'm gonna say I'm glad they stuck it out because they've been through the ringer. So they've had a couple of challenges they filed with the state for activities unbecoming of a governor, and also activities of stalling the Citizen Ran Ballot Initiative from going to Supreme Court review way after they received the maximum amount of signatures needed to initiate that process. That was being held up by obviously our famous James Uthmeier that we spoke about earlier, and then the Division of Elections Director, who was Maria Matthews. She's the one who ended up caving and saying, okay, I'm going to go ahead and send it through the process. So thanks, Maria, for doing your job. But now they're in Supreme Court review. The lawsuit, James Uthmeier told the judges, like, you can just forget about the lawsuit now because we did it. Like, we pushed it through, blah. But it's going forward. And so the other win for Smart and Safe was they had funded a poll by Fabrizio Lee and Associates. It is a Trump
Republican
adjacent group. Okay. And it was a poll that was funded by Smart and Safe, but the content of it was very diplomatic. Okay. They asked approximately, I've got it right here. I printed it out. and it says like super confidential memorandum, whatever. But
Nice.
I know, right? They asked, and I want to get the numbers right because now I'm second guessing myself. It was how many people? I think it was 800. Yes, 800 prospective voters. Okay, voters that would vote in the 2026 on the 2026 ballot in that election. They said, in the event, like, do you want to vote for your right to utilize adult use cannabis? Do you want that opportunity? And they said 89% in favor, yes. That does not mean they support adult use legalization. They just don't want lawmakers making the decision for them behind the scenes. 89% of the people polled, including majority Democrats and independents and a very strong majority of Republicans, over 60%, said we want to vote on this topic. Not we're in favor, not 89% in favor of adult use would be amazing. However, it's people don't want the government playing with their decisions, which is great that we're taking back the power to make decisions and to have the ability to change laws, even though we only have a couple of avenues to do so. People still want those avenues, whether they're incredibly costly, almost impossible to achieve. They don't want them taken away. Don't take away anything else. So that's, I think, two wins.
In a horizontal market, I think Colette's product is perfectly legal. She just, instead of getting hemp-derived CBD, she gets a oil that was created by one of the license holders, whatever that license looks like, and she licensed as a product that's available for adults, maybe not taxed under the not taxed under the vitamins and nutraceuticals, and someone else can create an intoxicating product that is taxed like an intoxicant.
Colette, I have a
We're
question.
getting there. I think we're going to get there. I'm feeling optimistic.
If tomorrow the Florida lawmakers, Florida cabinet decided, all right, we're not going to do full prohibition of hemp extract products like they're talking about. We're going to say you can source your materials from an MMTC. What would you think of that and how that would affect your supply? I want the truth because I know what I think of that, but nobody cares what I think about that. You're in the space, you're making products. If you weren't able to source from, let's say, Treadwell, okay, and you had to source from an MMTC, and that's the only way you can make your broad, full spectrum products and keep your livelihood, what hurdles do you think you would face if that was put in place? Because it's a very high likelihood they could say, give it to those that are already trusted.
Well, I think it for some people maybe that won't be a challenge to jump to that. For me, we worked really hard to find the sources based on the cannabinoid profiles and the growing processes, the organic practices. And so for me to flip over to a new producer to produce, because, when we talk about our product, we're not heating it up. We're trying very hard to keep a low pressure, low temperature steep, which means we need it to be a great plant from the start in its raw form. So I just don't know enough about the MMTCs to know if they're going to provide me with a low THC, high cannabinoid profile, organically processed mentality, growth, and nutrients and the love. And then do you even have enough? I just always, first of all, their focus, their focus is on the growing of these high THC, higher THC, highest
would they want
THC
to
products.
grow hemp at all?
They
and why
have
would they
the
cater it
opportunity
around
to sell.
your
They
preferences?
already have the chance to sell a low THC with higher low CBD, higher THC product. They can do that if they wanted to. That's not where they tend to put a lot of their energy, because
You wouldn't be
for
allowed
them,
on
it's the
premises to go
specialty.
input. You wouldn't be able to see the process. You would have to take whatever
Right,
they grew.
I
right.
disagree. I disagree with you, Cynthia. I love you and I disagree with you.
It's okay.
I think that in a better horizontal market, that you would have more people, more licenses. And I think that if Colette was so, you know, market factors, I have limited canopy, I have limited distribution routes, and I have a finite number of customers. That's the paradigm of the MMTC today. Okay. I have limited canopy, limited outlets, and finite number of customers. It might be 956,000 customers today, and it might be 957,000 next month, but there are only 975,000 customers or whatever that I could ever possibly hope to get. And if I have 80 outlets, I still only have 80 outlets. In a horizontal market, I would be able to have 500 outlets if I had enough canopy space to support that. And if I knew that I had 200 shelves that I could put a low THC product on right now, I would devote a little more canopy space to it.
But that's if we break up vertical integration, which is not going to happen. It has no talks of happening.
It is in Smart and Safe's initiative.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah. I mean,
I thought that's what we were talking about.
Sorry, we segued to
What?
Sorry, Smart and Safe. Yes, we did talk about that. Smart and Safe, cannabis, vertical integration, breaking it up into horizontal. My question was that a lot of people are saying, oh, we'll just follow in line with what the federal government's saying. Because we know we had to be strict, but they're being super strict. So like, let's just go that way. It's safer not to piss off mom and dad. So they're just going with that.
Yeah.
Ohio, Florida, Illinois, it's all talking about just following the federal ban, even though they had language in place regulating their hemp market. But like, for instance, Representative Nancy Mace, a Republican out of South Carolina, filed a bill after President Trump signed this funding bill, okay, wanting to block or reverse the ban on hemp derived, obviously THC products, a move that has raised questions about her political motives, okay? It's a bill that's not going to go anywhere. All right. She was once considered the most prominent voice, most prominent Republican voice of cannabis reform. Okay. She was a very vocal advocate for our industry. And then she just kind of disappeared. But now it looks like Mace is capitalizing on the controversy surrounding the ban to regain influence in the space. Despite framing the measure to support for regulatory oversight rather than complete prohibition, the bill is unlikely to advance and it currently lacks momentum, but she's doing it for the attention and the funding that she's getting. So what I'm thinking is, because there's other people like Nancy Mace that are going to put out arbitrary and ambiguous language like, I got you, even though we know it's not going to pass. She knows it's not going to pass, as a way of gaining financial and political support from the industry. I can see them saying, let's not cut off the gravy boat just yet. Let's just give it to a different area, like the regulated cannabis space, and tell them they have to give it to them. What are they going to say? No, we're not going to make hemp for Colette. We're not going to, no, they're just going to grow whatever they feel like growing. Now, what you're talking about, Jody, is very good point, because we have new licenses coming on board, whether litigation or not, they're going to come. It's happening, and more after that. Unless those licenses get on board before this thing gets voted on, there's a very good likelihood that vertical integration could be no longer the problem next year today, which is crazy to think about, where Colette could actually be making cannabis products if she wanted to. I'm just saying,
she does make cannabis products. She makes
marijuana products,
full spectrum, right, with enough THC to be bioavailable.
Is it possible that happens before the ban is complete? Is it possible that Colette could be part of a horizontal integrated cannabis program and make her products exactly as she's doing today, because of Smart and Safe in Florida, not other states, just here?
So in a world of infinite possibilities, anything is possible. In the
That's good.
next 300 days, maybe. With 365 days, I was really encouraged. I told you I was listening to some stuff from the hemp industry. I'm very encouraged. Some of our Floridians who'd been at the Capitol with me are in Washington, D.C. right now. I don't believe that, that all of the people who have been working on this across the United States are giving up. I don't believe that. Maybe the ones that are bringing in synthetics from China will say, there's another place for me to make money because they're entrepreneurs. They're just going to go make money someplace else.
Yeah.
And at the end, if we have a good, clear regulatory structure for industrial hemp that doesn't, I mean, my industrial hemp plant that is never intended for the human food chain should not have to be tested for THC content at day 200 or 2 weeks before for our harvest. That it's not sensible. And the
Yeah.
products that are being put into my body should 100% be safe.
Yes.
And we should have a confidence in that. Not that the stuff that I do right now is 100% safe, and Tylenol tells me they're safe. Hector is giving us a lot of comments about a free market. I think the closest we've ever come to a free market, Hector, we already had. And that was that like 2 weeks in the 70s before when the Controlled Substance Act was uh, not found to be not accurate, but they fixed that, and everything since then has just been a market that was only regulated by one entity, and that's law enforcement. And that's when we talk about prohibition, that's always been our issue, is that you couldn't make cannabis safe because the only regulatory body that we ever had was law enforcement, and they were guns, and they enforced things with jail and criminal penalties.
That's a pretty scary end result. Didn't Jim Belushi say that the most dangerous thing about cannabis is getting caught with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of which, Belushi Farms and Treadwell are partners and waiting on one of their new licenses.
Yes, I did see that they got one that Belushi
for
did.
Belushi and their partner is Treadwell.
Join FLCAN, Belushi.
See, I believe there will be people in this next round of MMTCs that are interested in making better products
If they're allowed
that are
to.
going to continue.
Okay,
to do.
if Jamie Treadwell's in, then we can talk. Now it changes the game. So Cynthia did not put that out there as part of the rules when she asked me that question, because I do change my answer.
That's
If
okay,
Treadwell's in, we're good.
You seem
You're an
more
intelligent
positive
woman.
knowing that if Jamie's gonna play, that you can play with her in the same sandbox, then yeah, because it takes a long time to build trust in this space, not just in business, but also in like the political structure, in the nonprofits, in the advocacy groups. It takes a long time to build a family that you can trust. And so once you have that, like you have with Jamie, if someone threatens to take your family away, you're going to gouge their eyes out with your fingernails.
I hope so.
Well,
So we're going to be asking consumers to help us spread the word on, it'll probably be a sign-on letter or a letter that you can send to your lawmakers. We'll start getting that out to you so that you can get that to your channels. I am so grateful for the elevated intel that we have continued to give to our members. We would like again to remind everybody, thank you for sharing this. Thank you for liking this, and thank you for commenting. We would ask you to subscribe to our channel. I think you can do that, and that's a little bit of an income for Cannabis Action Network. $5 a month makes you a member. Membership has its privileges. If nothing else, we say nice things about you.
really nice
Whether
things.
it's
And the pin, don't forget the pin.
And you get a pin.
You get a pin. We'd love to see you in Tallahassee when we come together on January 14th and 15th to bring some sanity.
Yeah,
I
you don't
didn't
get to
get to talk.
complain about anything if you don't show up for something. That's it.
So, and last but not least, I do want to remind people that we have 3 bills that we are championing in Tallahassee this year. The complimentary reduced rate fees for veterans, putting our first responders and our veterans out front to get them some of the benefits they deserve. Reminding folks that we want to give amnesty to our tourists. We don't want you to come to probation or Florida on vacation and leave on probation, and we don't
Yeah.
want you to go someplace else for vacation.
Yeah, don't do that either. Yeah.
And lastly, we are working very hard to expand the right to garden to include your medicine. If you are a patient regulated under the medical marijuana program, the state already knows you're using marijuana. They already know that you have a condition that is constitutionally protected. And as such, you should be able to create in your garden with the other herbs and vegetables and plants in your garden a medicine that is going to be beneficial for your health and well-being, since the state has already agreed you need it. So
Yeah.
anything else? Final wrap up? Anything else? What do you think, ladies?
I think everything's going to still be okay. Things are positive, and we'll keep bringing you the information. Colette, what do you got? Jody's dancing because she's going out of town. She won't be here next week. I do have a guest host, J-Mac.
I'm totally.
You're like,
That's
I'm
right,
going to
Jen.
Chicago. It's going to be cold. J-Mac and I will be hosting next week. Colette, we'll let you have the final word.
Oh gosh, you know what? Hey, I appreciate organizations and conversations like we're having today in FLCAN. Without it, I think I would have had to close my doors a long time ago, because we have not. This is not our first rodeo. So
Yeah.
I'm not panicking yet, and I am relieved to hear. I think I hear it in the distance. It's the cavalry coming.
Yeah.
That is what
In a
I
cloud of
think.
smoke.
Yeah, in a big cloud. It kind of came
They're just
first, actually. I
mosey.
smelled
It's like
it and
a
then I
mosey.
saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
tracks big time for us. Yeah.
that's right.
That's
Yeah. So, but I'm just really thankful. Gosh, I'm not a person that goes up and does politics. It's just not who I am. But boy, does it feel good to have some folks who've done this before who kind of know, no, they very much know how to walk around and have the right conversations and just this is not a one and done scenario, and I think that's what I took away from it this year is that being up in Tallahassee this time around, the first time I went up there and the second time I went up there, it was like, okay, what am I going to say? I got to make sure I have my message. I've got to know what to say. No, it's really about this ongoing relationship that you're building with the folks that are up there year after year. And so, just continuing to have that relationship and build the relationship with your local legislators is a big important step. And so folks that are still interested or are getting frustrated with the laws that are coming out in the state, this is a really good way to get education on how to go about it. Whether it's to fight for your cannabis rights or some of the other things that are happening in your own community. I know people are to the point where they're fed up and they're ready to take action. Actions in their name. So it kind of makes sense that this is a group that I'm just going to plug it again. If you guys want to know how to speak up on a matter that's important to you, go to flcan.org and register to join us in Tallahassee, become a member, start to listen in. We're going to be doing legislative calls every first Wednesday of the month. That's going to keep you up on what
Oh
the
yeah.
heck they're doing in Tallahassee,
Every week.
specific to the regulations. And then on Friday, you can go, okay, can you debrief that so that it actually makes sense? And Cynthia breaks it down so that people can make sense of it all. So it's all
With a
part of the
crayon, I
process.
will write it for you. Yes.
Yeah, on a big whiteboard. But it's all of these things put together are what
Mhm.
make you a stronger advocate and a stronger citizen in your own community. So thank you, gals, for doing the things. Thank you for giving us an avenue to learn and to practice being good citizens and how we can, keep keep our business community protected and moving forward. So thank
I
you
like
everybody
having
for the
Colette on the
chance.
show. I feel like all these compliments are going to go to my head. She's so complimentary. She's just like, let's have her on for good measure every day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colette. That was very eloquently stated. And yes, 100% accurate. I have nothing else to say. She said it all.
I will miss you all next Friday. While Jody won't be here, Elevated Intel will be, and we hope you'll be here too. Remember to like and share, join Florida Cannabis Action Network, and tell your friends. Hope is not lost. Hope is found in Cannabis Action Network.
Florida Cannabis Action Network, or FLCAN, has been fighting for cannabis rights in Florida for over 25 years. We're the grassroots voice pushing back against outdated laws and demanding science-based, sensible cannabis policy. From patients to veterans, business owners to everyday Floridians, we unite passionate advocates who won't settle for less than freedom. Together, as friends, we work with a purpose. Join us. Be a part of a 27-year movement to help legalize the plant.